Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, make sure that you subscribe and make sure that you hit that notification button because you're going to want to listen to this at least one more time and you're definitely going to want to share it because we're going to talk about the secrets to success during and after transitioning out of the military. And we got my friend, Mr. Ryan Hunt, one of my one of my mentors and one of my heroes. He put the whole Today I Decide Mental Health Summit together, so I'm very grateful. And a brand new friend I have, Chris King, changing the world and has one of the biggest hearts of service I know. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you very much, Rich. I feel real blessed to be here, to be able to speak with you today, and I'm looking forward to this. This is great. Anytime I can catch up with old friends, it's a good day.
Chris, how are you doing, brother?
I'm great. I'm great, Rich, and I'm in the same club with you. Ryan is a mentor and a hero to me as well. So we're in the same club here.
Thank you.
Oh no, Ryan, thank you. I mean, what you've done for me when I was a stupid lieutenant at Fort Bliss, and what you've done for me now, it speaks volumes. And you want to talk, Rich, about having a big heart? It's that guy right there that has a much bigger heart than I do, and I feed off of that.
He's got the heart of a panda, but I think
exactly.
We'll talk about that later.
For sure.
My first question is because everybody has a different definition of resiliency. Ryan, what is your definition of resiliency?
Sure, put me on the spot, and I think my answer won't be as glamorous as everyone else's on the show, but I think resiliency for me is understanding that you will have obstacles in your way and sometimes you will fall. It's the ability to understand that you're failing forward and to just keep on moving through the objective. Don't stop on the objective. Keep on pushing through. You will be able to make it through. There's better times. There's a higher ground for you to go to. And there's
Chris?
A lot of brothers and sisters out there that are out there to support you.
Yep, and you're never alone. I love that. Chris, what is your definition?
Yeah, absolutely. To kind of piggyback back off of what Ryan said, resiliency is just being able to identify, problems and try to be proactive with issues that come your way. Because if you're proactive, you have that plan put in place, and you can bounce back from anything. If adversity comes your way, you know exactly how to deal with it because you're thinking in your mind that, hey, if that problem hits me, I know exactly what to do to counteract that without any gap. Because once you hesitate on trying to solve an issue that comes your way, it makes it harder and harder to kind of solve that and to bounce back. So resiliency to me is like having tough skin, and problems, when they hit you, they bounce off of you. And that's pretty much what resiliency is, other than giving a definition from my master resiliency training program that I had gotten in the Army, which was one heck of a program, by the way.
All right, Ryan. So real quickly, give us a quick down and dirty on who Ryan Hunt is.
Who Ryan Hunt is, down and dirty. Okay. Well, I'm a human being, but in a part of the global community here. But I am a retired Army officer. I was also enlisted, much like Chris was, and to turn to the dark side of the force, if you will. And I am a serial entrepreneur. For me, my definition of entrepreneur is a guy that is resilient, a guy that, or gal, that fails forward. And that's kind of where I am. I've been a part of several companies, including 10th Mountain Recruiting, which we're here for, but also part of another great company that I led for well over closing on a decade, which is Mountain Up Cap Company. Yep. So a lot of different ideas and things about Today I Decide, and also the Veteran Social Summit was another entrepreneurial endeavor or experiment, and I think it was pretty good. So that's a little bit about me. On the professional side, personally, I have 3 beautiful kids. I have a 14-year-old son, Gabe, a 13-year-old daughter, Gwen, and a little thing called Christina Ryan, and she's 4, and like to hike, enjoy movies, and just trying to find balance in my life. It's all about balance now.
Yep, and you're from Chi-Town, and I think the Bulls are on.
Well, I'm not from Chi-Town. No offense to the people out there in Chicago. No, I'm originally from Las Vegas, Nevada. But yes, I do. I've lived here in this beautiful city. It's beautiful today, actually. Beautiful sunny day. I've lived here for about 5 years, so it is a beautiful city. But I consider myself a Las Vegan, and that'll never get beaten out of me.
I love it. So, Chris, give us a real quick down and dirty about you.
Sure. Let's see, on the professional side, let's start with veteran. I was prior enlisted Air Force, became an officer, 11 years break in service, went to OCS, and at 39 and a half years old, I got commissioned. And so I was almost a 40-year-old second lieutenant in the Army. Let's see, retired medically as a captain. Let's see. On the personal side, I have a wife. Her name is Araceli. She's Spanish. I come from an Italian family back in West Virginia. Yep, there you go.
Hold on, an Italian family in West Virginia?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's such a misconception, Rich. The part of West Virginia I'm from is up north near Pittsburgh. And what it is a lot of families came over on the ship from Italy, and they wanted to find a part of the country that reminded them of home. My family's from southern Italy, where it's very mountainous, lots of trees, lots of green, and mining, coal mines mostly. So that's why there was a lot of Italian immigrants that immigrated to West Virginia, Western PA, Eastern Ohio, is because of the mining industry. So,
now, what part of Italy is your family from?
Calabria, the southern part, San Giovanni.
That's where my family's from.
Oh, so, gosh, we need to talk later. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep, San Giovanni, Calabria. Yes. The majority of the people where I'm from are from that same state, that same province, and also that same town of San Giovanni, which is St. John's in English. So yeah, my wife is Spanish. I'm Italian mostly. I have 2 boys from her. They're her sons. I kind of adopted them and mentored them. But one is Alfredo, and he graduated from Texas A&M a few years ago. He works in Dallas. And I've got another son, Alejandro. We call him Alex. He lives here with us in Oklahoma City, and he goes to University of Central Oklahoma, and he's majoring in digital forensics.
Wow.
So, yep.
Oh, cool. All right. So now,
intense.
Yeah.
Now, something I definitely want to talk about is, people that know my story know that I got thrown out of the military the first time for being a drug addict. Got back in and did everything I could to become the ultimate soldier. I did, whatever you needed, I got you. I did whatever I could. And I got hurt on duty and I lost my vision. And if you can't see, you can't shoot, we don't need you. And they medically retired me Memorial Day 2012. And that was the day that I decided to end my life. Because anybody that I've talked to, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a veteran, whether you're first responder, when we get out of the military, whether on our own or without we're being forced out, we lose our mission. Mm-hmm. We lose the camaraderie. And like Sergeant Nick Valentine says, the military doesn't give a shit about you. And all of a sudden you're alone. You're on an island. And I find that's when most veterans or veterans, first responders, athletes, once they hang up their uniform for the last time, they don't know I didn't know who Richard was. If I'm not Sergeant Kaufman, who the hell is Richard? So I want you guys to dig into what you guys went through when you got out and some of the guys that you've helped and girls that you've helped transition out.
Well, I'll tell you that I think everyone that spends any amount of time in the military, the transition it's always going to be difficult. Even if you plan it, you try to get into the right mindset for it. It's challenging because just like you said, Richard, you are essentially changing your identity. You know, when that uniform comes off, and for me, I'll tell you, it's a struggle even now for me on a day-to-day basis. You know, I have to deal with, you know, with even with interactions just in the community on a day-to-day basis. And knows this. He's heard some of my conversations, even with people that I'm interacting with. You know, I've come to have a certain expectation of how I'm going to interact with people with respect, and I expect the same thing in return. And sometimes people don't hold that same value. So that's a difficulty in itself. But then just learning who you are and what your place is on the civilian side, and then being able to come up with a coherent plan to move forward and to better yourself and to live a meaningful life can be challenging. I'll tell you that knowledge is definitely power when it comes to transitioning out. I've seen, and so I've transitioned out of the military twice, really. The first time is Sergeant Hunt, and the last time is Major Hunt. And I'll tell you that the difference between pre 9/11 and now, the transition is a lot different. There's a lot more opportunities out there, including the DoD skill bridge, but even just the whole transition ACAP process has evolved quite a bit. And what I'll tell soldiers that are out there is take it serious, get that information, and realize that you may create one plan, but you've got to be flexible and be able to shift to plan B, plan C, D, E, F, G, like this guy, and you just keep on pivoting. And that's part of the resiliency piece too. I'll tell one huge thing is, and this goes to the medical retirement piece, but just in general, make sure if you're out there and you're a guy that or a gal getting ready to transition out, make sure you understand about your veteran affairs benefits. You know, make sure that you write down or at least have it memorized www.va.gov. I don't work for the VA, but I'll tell you that even that system there, the Veterans Affairs, has improved so much. And there's just a wealth of resources and benefits out there. I know a lot of people have a stigma. Sometimes they think that, well, there's other people that need these benefits or these resources. You know, quite frankly, if you are broken during your time in service for whatever reason, it's the responsibility. It's part of the contract that this nation makes with you to take care of you. So take advantage of those benefits. I'm sorry, I'm off my soapbox now, Rich and Chris.
That's awesome.
You know, I mean, Ryan brought up some great points. Let's see, I too, you know, transitioned out of the military twice. Once as Staff Sergeant King in the Air Force, and the other one was as Captain King in the U.S. Army. What I tried to do was, and I encourage a lot of soldiers and a lot of airmen to do this, and it's kind of a no-brainer. If you get out of active duty, do not break in service. Do not break in service. Go to the Guard. Go to the reserves. You when you go into those units, you are a rock star because you came from active duty.
Yeah.
Just the word, the rumor mill for a unit is going to hear, hey, Captain King, he came out of active duty. He was in 1st Armored Division. He was an S4, and he was a UMO officer. So coming in, it's like you're a rock star. So it's like a no-brainer just to continue your service, continue building up points towards retirement and things like that. Also, Ryan brought up a good point, like the post 9/11. Okay, post 9/11 GI Bill. Oh my gosh, that's a great resource. I got my MBA paid for by the VA and the U.S. in the military because I put in money for the GI Bill, the post 9/11, the Montgomery GI Bill coming out of the Air Force. I used it to finish my bachelor's degree. I had money left over, and I went to truck driving school And, I was doing that in the Air Force already, but truck driving school, I used it to pay for that. And I went on between Air Force and Army. I was driving tractor trailers off and on because I had a love for logistics. I had a love for driving. Ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be one of those guys driving the big rigs, blowing that horn to these kids in the buses and driving and delivering things. And so I used the GI Bill and my resources to get ahead. You can use that money to get certifications. And I mean, like Ryan said, knowledge is the key. If you can make yourself more marketable out there in the job force by finishing your degree, getting certifications, getting a master's degree or what have you, you can make yourself a lot more marketable. It opens up a lot of doors. I unfortunately had to medically retire from the Army. I had to get out of the reserves. I medically retired in November of 2019. Unfortunately, I was type 2 diabetic, and it got to the point where I was insulin dependent.
Yep.
And I was no longer deployable.
Yep.
And they tried to keep me on as much as they could, but it was like, hey, I appreciate, you all using your power and rank to keep me in, but hey, I can't be of use to you. Deployment is the name of the game, and I can't deploy, so I can't be an asset to you. I'm more of a liability, so I had to medically get out. Like Ryan said, the VA benefits, document everything and get into the VA system with the disability, the resources that they have. They have hospitals, pharmacies, mental health. They have counseling and things like that. There's a lot of resources out there. The VA has gotten a lot better. The VA is going to continue to become more accessible, and they're going to improve their quality. They have been twofold in the last 10 years, and it's going up and up. So advice to transitioning soldiers is, like I said, use those resources to make yourself more educated, more marketable. Me and Ryan, we faced a lot of difficulty after we transitioned because it seemed like, quote unquote, we were the redheaded stepchildren when it came to civilian positions that we applied for. They did not want to look at a lot of civilian hiring managers. Yeah, they say, well, we hire veterans, we support the military, but a lot of them don't really understand what we did in the military, even though we did our best to convert it to English language in our resumes. They just still didn't. A lot of them didn't see our worth, and it was such a hurdle and an obstacle to overcome. Very tough.
Now, one thing I want to, before we get on to what you guys are doing now, I speak all over the place, international speaker. I speak at a lot of different places. And now I've interviewed highly successful people like yourselves, 7, 8, 9-figure earners. And I tell everybody now, whether you're a veteran or entrepreneur, you got to figure out what the exit game is, what the exit strategy is. Because one day you're going to be hanging up that uniform. Emmett Smith is still not playing.
100%.
So you have to, like I've talked to one gentleman, he owns a gas company. He's making $100 million a year. He says, I don't start a company until I actually have the end date when I'm actually going to exit out of it. I have an exit strategy. And a lot of us think, well, we're going to join the military. We're going to be okay forever. But don't realize that there's an end date coming. We all got a shelf life. So we need to start preparing even before we start, that we need to have an exit strategy. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
First, before we go on, because I want to dig deep into what you guys got going on, I want to thank our sponsors. As you guys know, our sponsors are 100% veterans, 100% of the time. A company called Really Designs by Ginger and David makes all of our swag, t-shirts, hats. This one says, today I decided. The back says, ask me how this t-shirt saves lives. Anytime you buy anything from me, t-shirts, swag, coffee, whatever it is, 100% of the proceeds go to help veterans struggling with PTSD and homelessness. So we're just always trying to pay it forward. So if you love swag, check us out. If you love coffee, I came out with a brand new coffee company. Check it out. And it's 100% every penny goes to help Project Die Hard. So guys, I just wanted to say that. Thank you guys for sponsoring the show. So now talk about, I always ask everybody, what gets you up in the morning? What gets you guys up in the morning now, besides kids and having to pee in the middle of the morning?
You took my answers away, yeah. Actually, Richard. So no,
that was good.
On a personal level, it's my family, but from a professional level, it's being able to work and do what I want to do within the confines of being an entrepreneur and working alongside great people like Chris and the rest of our team at 10th Mountain Recruiting. So those are really things that get me up at 4:30 in the morning, most mornings, and get me out of bed and working as part of that 4:30 a.m. club. So thanks a lot, Chris.
Yeah. Hey, I'm trying to make your job a lot easier. And
you do, brother. You don't even know.
Thank you. I don't quite get up as early as you do. I gave that up when I got out of the Army. And I hated getting up that early to begin with, but getting up and being in formation to see that flag go up and that cannon go off. Oh, I miss it. I really do miss that feeling. I get chills every time we would be in formation and hear that. But anyway, I'm getting flashbacks. For me, what drives me, Rich, is helping people. My goal is
Amen.
to try to prevent veterans, transitioning veterans, to go through the things that we went through. That is my goal. I treat, like Ryan said earlier, respect's a two-way street. That's exactly what my goal is. I just don't want people to feel the growing pains that we went through when we got out of the Army, getting rejected and being given lame feedback and not fully understanding what it was we did and how that we spent most of our adult lives contributing to our mission and our country. And I just don't want my candidates to go through the answer of saying, and this happened to me a few years ago, and I shared that with Ryan when it happened a few years ago. I had a company that I put a job in for, and the recruiter came back. She probably shouldn't have said this, but she did. The company loved your experience and your education background, but they wish you had more civilian experience. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm sorry. I apologize. I spent most of my adult life serving two branches of the military to serve this country, but I'm sorry, I don't have enough civilian experience for you. That kind of thing. That's the stuff that drives me. I do not want the candidates that use our recruiting firm to have to deal with getting rejections like that.
It's something that I've, like I said, I've had almost 500. I think we're like 500, episode 515 or something like that. It's a lot of times when military personnel, they get out of the military or about to transition out, they give you this resume and it's nothing but nomenclatures. It's nothing but, ACE ... and the recruiter just like their eyes glaze over and they just put it in the circular file.
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't have a professional person make up their resume to kind of break it down Barney style, what they did. You could say, yeah, I was a platoon leader, but then if you just, broke it down easy, I led 8, 12 different men, and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of us are not relatable to the, we have to make us more relatable than we actually are when we get out of the military.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that's a challenge for sure, Rich.
It is.
And
it is.
Chris and I definitely see that, just so that the audience knows.
Right.
We are part of a boutique executive recruiting firm, and we're not focused. We are focused on the military. I would say we do have a large component where we are trying to find military talent and trying to align them with the opportunities that we have. I mean, we do that pretty much on a daily basis. In fact, Chris, we just had a submission to a candidate or to a client that
Right.
was a military veteran.
Mhm.
So with us, if there are veterans out there or military personnel transitioning out of the military, no obligation to work with us, but you can come to us. We will give you advice on how to transform your. We're not going to do it for you, but we will help you translate your
Mhm.
resume for sure. And that's just
Absolutely.
something we can throw out there for any military people that are transitioning out that
Right.
want to hit us up. And you can find us on LinkedIn pretty easily.
Oh, absolutely. And we point you in the right direction, and we try our best to set you up for success. Because I hate hearing those kind of rejections towards our veterans and our military. Oh, you don't have enough civilian experience, or I see some resumes where there's a lot of acronym soup, like you just said, Rich. I call it acronym soup. And I go back, talk to the candidate, and say, look, we need to put this more in layman's terms. Let's spell out the acronyms. Let's, kind of, let's look for an equivalent, a civilian equivalent to what you did in the military. And we're always open to help with resumes, with anything. That's what we're here for, and that's what drives me every day, is to help and guide and just set somebody up for their next chapter in their life. It's so gratifying. It really is.
Now, I've had a lot of high performers, like I said, Navy SEALs, Navy SEAL commanders, Delta Force, and a lot of them, once they hit the streets, they're Private Joe fucking Snuffy again, or they'll go to expecting to be the CEO of a company. But wait a minute, you did all that in the military, but you're civilian Joe. You need to, you can't start at the top. So I think a lot of us get out. I get a lot of Navy SEALs. They think they're going to come out and just start, writing best-selling books, and all of a sudden, become a CEO of a company, and then they can't find a job anywhere.
Yep. It's
That's
heartbreaking.
100%. Yeah. And again, that's part of, your identity that gets lost as you're making that transition out. And there's no secret sauce to how well, there is. The secret sauce is keep on pressing forward and failing forward. Eventually things will align in a good vertically align themselves for sure. But it's tough. There's no secret sauce to feeling better as you're going through that thing and trying to discover who you are, and also eating a little bit of humble pie. A lot of as you come out of the military, even if you link up with some of these military recruiting firms that are out there, and again, we don't consider ourselves a military recruiting firm in the sense that that's the only thing we specialize in.
No.
That's just one of our subset. We're veteran owned and operated, so of course, we love our brothers and sisters and we want to help them out, and that's going to be one of our top priorities. But the journey is tough, and you have to understand you're almost resetting yourself. You are resetting yourself into this new environment. So you might have been a battalion S3, and the next thing you know, you're sitting at the end of a production line in a manufacturing environment.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
Or you're sitting in Amazon in a fulfillment center as the operations manager. Your journey, is just embrace it, embrace those different opportunities, and continue to fail forward, continue to grow. That's my advice.
Oh yeah.
You didn't really ask me that, but I thought I would just drop it anyways.
No, it's a culture shock. That's for sure. That's the hardest part, is getting over the hurdle of the culture shock. You come out of the military with all these accolades and awards, and you're getting all this respect for the positions you've held, and then in the civilian world, it all kind of just goes out the window. It's all in the past, and it's such a culture shock. It's such a big hurdle to overcome. But yet again, you kind of have to earn your stripes in the civilian world too. Sometimes you can't expect to be at the top. starting
All
out,
right.
unless you're a general,
I want
retired
to ask
general.
a question. I
Mhm.
want to go behind the scenes of 10th Mountain real quick. On Friday, I had Mr. Lee Steinberg come on, the #1 sports agent of all time. And he actually wrote the movie Jerry Maguire about him.
Jerry Maguire, yeah.
Yep.
I asked him, I said, when you meet a prospect, because I think he had 8 #1 NFL draft, the #1 draft pick, 8 of them. I said, when you sit in front of a guy, can you tell if they have that's something? And he says, most of the times I can tell, even if it's just in rookie training camp, if they're sitting in front of me, I can tell if they have it or if they don't have it. So when you get people that are sitting in front of you, sometimes you get that feeling like, I don't know what it is about this guy. He may not check all the boxes, but he's going to be something.
Yep.
And then you see the guy that checks all the boxes, but you're like, it's not going to work.
Well, let me answer. I'm going to do this. I'm going to answer for Chris. Chris says yes, and for sure he's very good at doing this. Chris, what do you having worked with me, what do you think? Do I have the ability to spot talent?
Oh, absolutely. And I feed off of that. And I'd like to think that I'm good at it as well. Rich, let me use an example. I was able to place a young lady in a position, and she was up against a lot of competition, including a couple of our own candidates she was competing against. And she was not a veteran, but boy, I'll tell you what, she just was humble. She loved the VA, she loved veterans, and she wanted to do whatever she could in her power to help in some way or another. And it spoke volumes to me. And Ryan, you know who I'm talking about. And
I'm going to say her name, Leslie.
Yeah, Leslie.
I won't say her last name, but
yes, Leslie. Okay,
Leslie.
Thank you, Ryan. I was afraid to go there, but my girl
No,
Leslie,
she's a great lady.
Gosh, what a classy young girl. She had great experience, and there was something about her voice, her tone. I could hear her smile when she talked, and I was like, you know what, Ryan, I think we got one here. And lo and behold, we were able to get her placed, and we changed her life, Rich. I mean, she's making $40,000 more a year than she ever thought she could. We changed her life, and it just speaks. It makes me feel so good, and that's why I get up and do this every morning, is because of candidates like her. And she's been so gracious, and she's plugged our firm. She's said probably too many kind words about me and Ryan and the rest of the team, but we helped her through the whole process. We put her at ease when, things were kind of maybe looking like she might not get it. And I said, hey, or there was another position she didn't get. And I said, look, Leslie, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I committed to you. All right. I'm military. I have integrity. I'm not going to quit. And I put her in for that next position, and boom, she got it. And like I said, she's making 40,000 more a year than she ever thought she could. And it just makes me feel like so proud of her. And it makes me feel good inside that I was able to do that for her, and I want to do that for more people, and that's what drives me. That is what drives me to do this every day.
Okay, so now I want to go back to the conversation I had Friday with Lee. And I said, because I'm a big sports geek, I always have been. I love sports.
Yeah.
Because he's been around. He was the first agent ever in NFL. And I said, what's the difference between a guy like Jamarcus Russell or a guy like Jeff George that have all the talent in the world, but they can't make it as a career? And then you get a guy like Tom Brady. And he said, you know what? The difference is they're willing to put in the reps. They're willing to get to practice 2 hours early, leave 2 hours late. They're willing to do. He said something that was great. He said he was willing to do stuff that he wasn't paid for. So he gets paid for doing. Now he gets paid for doing stuff that he doesn't even have to do anymore. So talk to us what you see the people that you've seen succeed now in your business, what makes them successful?
I think, and I'll just answer real quick, and Chris, I know you'll be able to build upon this, but I think one thing that makes a successful candidate is someone that is open-minded. Simply, they're open to other opportunities. They're open to growing, and this goes again to transitioning military as well. You have to have that growth mindset. You have to have the open mindedness to be able to step into a variety of different roles. And then I think what's important is also figuring out how you're going to add value to an organization,
Mhm.
and really stressing that. So that's, in a nutshell, that's my answer. And I know Chris, build upon that, brother, because I know
No,
you're going to.
yo, absolutely, absolutely. Thanks, Ryan. I think resiliency. That seems to be that's a key word today. Resiliency is a big one. Flexibility is another. Like you said, open-mindedness is synonymous with flexibility. You have to be
Adaptability.
adaptability, work ethic. You know, you displayed that work ethic in the military. You need to show that civilian employer that you're willing to carry on that strong work ethic with them. What can you do for them? What value can you add to their mission and their company? And that those are the keys right there: is adaptability, work ethic, flexibility, open-mindedness, resiliency.
And not to kind of move in a little different direction with this adding value. You have to realize, unlike a military environment, the bottom line is about profit and loss.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, in a business, are we making money? Are we not making money? Are you adding value that's contributing to us being profitable, or are you sitting kind of not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and just sitting there being basically hemorrhaging money for that organization? So you also have to realize that as a military person transitioning out, this isn't, uh, you know, basically that's what they're operating on. The bottom line is money, unfortunately. Even though all of us do aspire to having an organization with a great culture and making sure that we treat our people right, which I think we do a pretty decent job at 10th Mountain Recruiting.
Absolutely.
But sometimes it's you have to realize that the bottom line is money for every single company
Mhm.
that's out there. Even in the government, sometimes the bottom line comes down to money, and that's why you might have a brigade of tanks mothball their fleet
Yeah.
because they didn't have enough money. I'm not saying that happened allegedly, but it does happen, and so it comes down to money
Right.
too.
Yep.
Um,
Like one thing for me, ever since I started this show, that's something I always lead with value. I don't want to have to have Lee Steinberg come on the show, that's a big, big wow. Greg Reed, Robert Kiyosaki, have those people come on the show. If I just came up to them and said, "Hey, bro, I got a podcast. Why don't you come on the show?" They look at me like, "Who the hell are you?" But I always believe, "Hey, Robert, why don't you come on the show? I would love to talk about what you got going on with Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I would love to promote you and what you have going on." Because for me, I believe that even business, and I've talked to many multi-billionaires. They said that if your employee is getting $100,000 a year, you should be generating at least $1 million a year. And a lot of people don't even look at that. They're like, when they go to a job, well, what is the job going to give me? Well, instead of saying, well, what value are you bringing to the job?
exactly,
Exactly.
exactly. It's
So
100% truth.
Yes.
tell us what you guys do. Break it down, Barney style.
Break it down Barney style. Well, Barney style is we're a boutique, which means a small executive recruiting firm.
Mhm.
We recruit across multiple specialties, including manufacturing, healthcare, IT, and we do government contracts too. right now recruiting on some really exciting positions for Veterans Affairs and also for NASA and TSA. And we are looking for veterans for the TSA position 100%. So if you're out there watching this, you're looking for some opportunities and you may be a transitioning
Mm-hmm.
specialist or lieutenant or whatever, definitely reach out to us. And it's easy to find us. We're at www.10thmountainrecruiting.com. I'm sure we'll put the link on this as well. I know Richard's going to share this out to the world. So that's basically what we're doing. We have a lot of different positions. And if we don't have those positions, you can come have a conversation with us and we will try to look for opportunities out there in the market. Right now it's a great time. There's what was I was reading something just lately, but the essence of it is for every job I'm sorry, for every 2 people that are unemployed, there's 4 opportunities. Well, anyways, there's like twice as many opportunities. So I kind of jumbled that up, but there's a lot of opportunities out there, and the unemployment rate it's decent. It's hovering around. I think this month or in August it was at 3.7, or is it this month?
I was going to say 3.7. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, 3.7. So there's a lot of opportunities out there for people. One of the issues, obviously, COVID caused a lot of that, but also baby boomers are like the oldest workforce in the world, and now a lot of those people since 2010 have been beginning to make their transition to retirement. So just a ton of opportunities out there. These companies that we're helping and other companies are looking at, it's really a war for talent, and they're looking for people that are, like we said already, open-minded, growth mindset. And yes, they do have some experience to bring to the table, value added. So that's kind of what we're doing. And Chris, what do you have to add to that?
Well, I mean, hey, you said it. I mean, that's our slogan, Ryan. 10th Mountain Recruiting, combating the war on talent. That is our slogan. He mentioned the VA. I mean, that's a privilege right there, being able to find opportunities for the Department of Veteran Affairs. The mission that they're doing is near and dear to all our hearts that are disabled veterans, because what they're doing is they're converting hard copy medical records to electronic. And it's a huge mission, and that is the majority of the opportunities that we're looking to fill is for that one office, because it's going to make things more accessible for our veterans. Instead of emailing somebody for a request for a hard copy record in Washington, D.C., they can be able to access that online because it's going to be electronic and not hard copy. And it's also, yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
I was just going to say it's also synergizing all the different branches of the military too, right, so that it's feeding, so that there's a stronger communication and synchronization going on between the VA and the military services, which really historically hasn't happened that well, in my opinion. No. So it's definitely going to be a benefit as they go through this electronic health record modernization that they're going through, and that's creating opportunities and definitely looking for people that are willing to get to work. Some positions are remote,
some are hybrid.
Which we didn't even really speak about that. And some are hybrid and on location. A lot of people with COVID, they got a little bit spoiled. So a lot of people are looking for remote opportunities. We do have those, but what I would tell you is be open-minded to going back to the office as well, or back to wherever it is that you're working, because it just, there's not all these roles it's not possible for all these roles to be remote.
Yeah. All right. So then I got last final questions. I put out a post yesterday, matter of fact, on my newsletter, that 1 in 5 American employees are looking to leave their job by the end of 2022. They call it hashtag the Great Resignation. Why, in your personal opinion, do you think we're having so many people quitting their jobs at a mass rate that we've never seen.
Well, I'll tell you, it's even larger, I
Mhm.
think, than 1 out of 5. I think back in October of 2020, about 40% of the people polled wanted to leave their job. So as part of that great resignation, I
Mhm.
think COVID obviously transformed the landscape, and it enabled people that might have not been able to get, let's say they were an assistant manager and had no opportunity to become managers. Now they had opportunities to step up and become senior managers because there were so many opportunities opened up with COVID. So I
Right.
think, and then coupled with the fact that a lot of these jobs obviously became remote. So people are now accustomed to remote positions and accustomed to just a different way of operating. And sometimes it's just not possible for that to happen. We're lucky. What we do is remote. And so
Mhm.
we have a diverse team that's actually across the globe, mostly I would say over 90% military veterans or military veteran spouses.
Mhm.
So we're in a really good position for us personally, but I think that's part of the issue with the Great Resignation is people want
Mhm.
remote opportunities and they want work-life balance too. That's another thing. They
That's
want
big.
some balance in their lives
Mhm.
because they realized when they unplugged from the matrix, if you will, during COVID, that there actually were sunny days outside and they could actually spend time with their families,
Mhm.
and they want to be able to do that. I mean, I think that's why Chris and I were actually basically entrepreneurs ourselves because we want to be able to have the flexibility to be able to spend time with our family.
Mhm.
I go and I pick up my 4-year-old from pre-K every day, and
Yep.
I'll tell you, I couldn't have done that every day in the military. So I
Mhm.
feel very blessed, and I feel sad too because I know my 15-year-old and 13-year-old get a little bit jealous, but this is just the times we're in. I was in the military, hot in the mess in Iraq during while they were growing up, but now I take a moment, and it's because I have this flexibility, and I think
Right.
everyone wants that, and I think that's part of the reason that we have these great resignations. I think we also have a rise of entrepreneurship in
Yeah.
America too,
Mhm.
and I think that's a great thing as well. So I don't know, Chris, do you have anything to add, brother?
No, no, just the fact that on a personal note, Ryan, your little 4-year-old, for one, she's cute as a button.
Thank you.
But two, she'll never forget that Daddy came to pick her up from school every day. You know what I mean? Like that.
It's a
That's gonna.
blessing.
It's yeah, exactly. So yeah, you hit all those points perfectly. Yes, absolutely.
So, last question is, how do we find you? How do we support your mission? And then the question after that is, how do we find the panda? Is the panda?
Okay. Well, let me start with 10th Mountain Recruiting. You can find us at www.10thmountainrecruiting.com. You can also find us on LinkedIn as well. What I will tell you is you don't have to support our mission. We want to support your mission of aligning the right opportunity for you.
Right.
So you can find us, and my email is pretty simple. It's Ryan@10thmountainrecruiting.com. Chris is Chris at 10thmountainrecruiting.com. And we have a team mostly of veterans or military spouses that 100% wants to support your transition and support your success in life. And that's why we do what we're doing, as Chris
Mhm.
mentioned before. Now, in regard to the panda, Richard makes a reference to our other company, which is Mountain Up Caps, and you can find that at www.mountainupcaps.com. And the logo for that is, of course, the fighting panda. So you can definitely find them out there. We're still slinging hats and some other awesome gear. We're going through a transformation with Mountain Up, but our main focus obviously right now is doing what we're doing. This is what feeds the panda, if you will.
I love it, guys. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful and humble.
Thank you. We're
Yeah,
blessed
thank
to
you.
have this opportunity,
Yeah,
Rich.
we're honored. Absolutely, Rich. Thank you.
Oh,
So, guys,
one last thing. And Rich, the door, I know we've talked about this for a while. The door is open to do another veteran social summit. Today I decide you just let me know, and we'll try to make that happen.
I love it. So guys, like my t-shirt says, today I decide. You guys, whoever you guys are watching this, you can decide. You can either be a victim or a victor. That's your choice. You don't have to be the same person when you go to bed tonight, that same person that woke up this morning. You have the power to change, and that's what we're all about here, is making that change. So guys, make sure that you follow us. Make sure that you follow us on all of our social media, because we're always bringing value. We're always trying to up level your life, and we're just not blowing smoke. We're actually giving actionable advice. So guys, I just want to say thank you so much. I love you guys, and you guys are amazing.
Thank
You
you.
are too. Thank
So are
you.
you, sir. Thank you so much, Rich.
All right, guys, remember vertical momentum. The only way to go is up, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Love you guys. Take it easy, guys.